companies will each walk out of here with $1 million. Are you guys ready to go?
Thank you so much.
The energy here is amazing.
Folks, Khalil Shakir and his family are teaming with local animal rescues and businesses to raise awareness and funds for local animal shelters and rescues, all based on his own personal experience of rescuing and adopting an animal himself. Khalil Shakir, the perfect 10, in studio with me. Season's ready to get underway, but talk to me about why it might be pet adopting season for someone out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always, at any time, it's great to go ahead and adopt and get a dog. One, they're just great. For me, it's you walk into the house and no matter what, they're always in a good mood. They're always happy to see you. I think it's very important for people to have dogs and not only have dogs, but adopt, just because, you know, those places, the people in there, they do a lot of things of taking care of these dogs, getting them off the streets, giving them a place to stay, shelter. You know, you got foster families that are housing these dogs. And, you know, at the end of the day, our furry friends just want somewhere to stay, want somewhere to be, want a loving family, want to be a part of something special, you know, so.
You've seen it up close and personal. There's nothing like the relationship with a dog. We'll take it back. We got Bear here in studio as well as your two poochies. It looks like we got a 3-wide, 2-minute, you know, offense we're running here. But instead, we're just having a good time. So you had Missy adopted. Now, not to take any shine off of Penny.
Yeah.
You had Missy adopted earlier this year at a Key Bank adoption event.
Yeah, I think it was around May.
See, she heard us talking about Missy. She goes, don't forget about Penny.
This is little Penny. But yeah, we got Missy back in May. And yeah, we actually, I was just scrolling on Instagram and Brandon Bean was talking about the adoption event at the Key Bank Center.
Yep, they do a ton of stuff there.
Me and my wife, we were just sitting around and was like, well, let's just go check it out. And of course, wasn't expecting to get a dog, but at the same time was like, in the back of my head, I kind of knew we were gonna leave with a dog.
Yeah.
But yeah, then we were there and just walking around and found Missy. I couldn't put her down, held her for a while. And then when I eventually did put her back down, picked her up like 3 more times. And then a lot of people seem to think that it was my wife. That was like the reason why.
I have to ask right now at this point. I have to put Khalil's feet to the fire. Was it 50-50 on the decision making, or was it Khalil's heart wants what Khalil's heart wants?
It was that one was on me for sure.
Okay.
I was like, I just couldn't leave without her. She was so cute. And my wife was like, we can't do it. Like, we already got Penny. We were already looking to get another dog just at the time, not at that time. And obviously now here we are with 2 dogs.
So let's talk about that situation. You already had a dog. Then you decided to get another one. You know, obviously great friendship, I'm sure, forming there. Was there any hesitancy? And, you know, what have you seen on the other side of getting that second dog?
As far as the dogs and
I mean, maybe there was a little hesitancy, maybe a little worry that the shine was going to be off Penny, or, you know, our solo star there for a little
100%. bit. At first we weren't too sure. Like the first day, they weren't too sure of each other. And Penny wasn't too sure. Like you said, I think she gets very jealous. So you're petting Missy, and 2 seconds later you'll have Penny at your feet. You know, so I think it just took a while for them to get used to each other. I mean, a couple of days in, and they were running wind sprints around the house with each other, having the best time ever. Now they're best friends. So yeah, it all works out. Of
course, a bond forged in friendship and running around the house is a bond unlike any other. So talk to me then about the process, because obviously you did it at the Key Bank Center adoption event. They must have made it easy for you. I know a lot of people worry sometimes with adopting, is that going to be a little bit tougher than getting it from a breeder or something? But the adoption process was pretty easy for you?
Really easy, actually. Yeah, we when we got there, we had no idea how it worked at all. But very simple. We was with Nickel City K9, and all they did was we had to fill out some paperwork. Very simple. I mean, just them checking off boxes, making sure that these dogs are going to the right home, right? So, but it probably took, 5-10 minutes. Now all the details in the paperwork, have no idea. My wife handled it all, but I'm pretty sure it was.
Shout out whoever's handling the paperwork at home, one way or the other, of course.
But yeah, it's super, super easy. The process is very easy to go through.
Yeah, love that. And so we're kind of fast forwarding here, but we're going to be getting into the season. You're going to be running curls. You're going to be running out routes, but we are going to be running a Khalil Shakir, the Shakir family pet adoption event. I believe I got that out right, at Resurgence, October 12th. Am I right on my producers? Is correct? So what will people have to look forward to that day? Obviously, that'll be into the season. That'll be a great Saturday. Hopefully, those October Saturdays, those could be some pretty beautiful days in Buffalo.
Saturday, I believe we play on Monday. So, I know as to the facility, it's a half day for us. But yeah, 2 to 6, October 12th. I think it's going to be a good time. We have a lot of people, a lot of things that are in the works right now, from gift baskets to certain events for donations to certain places and things like that. Working with a lot of different people, sponsors as well, and so far it's looking great. Very thankful for not only my team but the team that they're helping put together. That's helping things run smooth here in Buffalo to get everything going. So super, super thankful for everybody, and it'll be a fun one.
And I think that day we're going to have beer releases, Bills giveaways.
Yep.
And I mean, I don't want to put any falsehoods out there, but once one Bill's in a spot, you never know when another couple Bills might show up. And that's how that tend to work.
I've been trying to see, I've been telling teammates, if you're going to get a dog, just wait till October 12th.
Wait till put it off. Wait till the season.
Like,
Focus on the season first, dog second.
I'm telling them I got something for you guys.
I got to put something out there, though. For anyone who might be worried that Khalil's mind is elsewhere, maybe he's watching something on streaming or focusing on talking about it. I just told him a month and a half away. He goes, okay, that's a half day at the facility. Okay. He's all the way focused in for the season. Okay, so let's tug at the heartstrings a little bit. Maybe someone doesn't have a hot dog. Maybe they're like, it's not going to be the right situation for me. I've heard horror stories about other adoption things. Why do they got to get to the Shakir family pet adoption event on October 12th? Yeah,
I think it's, like I said, just who we're working with, all the different, from Nickel City K9 and all the other adoption centers that we're working with. I think it's just, when you come to the event, first of all, when you walk in, it's love. I mean, and I can speak this from experience, obviously. Right when you walk in, you're just filled with love and just, fun, happy dogs that need a place to stay, a loving place to stay. And yeah, of course, always there's those things where you're like, getting a dog is rough. And it's not even, I'm not even saying gonna lie, but at the end of the day, they make, every single day I walk in the house and, they're smiling no matter what your mood is. They're going to put a smile on your face. You grab that ball, squeak it. They're going to bring it to you and squeak it and want to play with you, So I know for me, definitely, tough day at work, whatever it is, walk into the house and they're right there at my feet smiling, ready to play. And it just instantly puts you in a better mood. They support you, dogs support you, love you, cuddle you. No matter what, just your best friend, So at this adoption event, it'll be filled with lots of that. And it'll be a good time as well.
Folks, it's a no-brainer. Get your hot route to the Khalil Shakir Family Pet Adoption event at Resurgence, October 12th, 2 to 6 p.m. We're going to be partying all day, having a great time, and you might take a Poochie home with you. And who knows? I got a man here who's got that dog in him, and your family might have that dog with them when you go home that day. So shout out to them. Shout out to Resurgence. Khalil, thank you so much for joining me, and let's do it. Let's have a great it's the reason for the season, the Poochies.
Hey, you're wide receiver Khalil Shakir, right?
I sure am, kid. Here, go long.
Whoa! You're pretty good at football, man.
And you guys are pretty good at pizza.
Oh, dude.
Folks, welcome back. It is the Picasso's pregame show, and we're not here to be cheesy with you. Get to any of your 6 Picasso's pizzas locations near you or order online, picassospizza.net through Goldbelly. I feel like I got gold in my belly, Mr. Jake Mike, after that Bills week 1 win, 17-3 in the first half. I mean, I was happy to just get out of there at that point, but we get out of there with a 1-0 win.
1-0. You love to see
1-0. 1-0.
Yeah, we love to see 1-0 on the skit. Like it just sets the tone, right? Like I love looking at the standings all week, seeing the Bills right at the top of the AFC East, where hopefully they stay this whole year. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't have any doubts at 17-3 either, honestly. Like I still felt comfortable, and that's been the story with these Buffalo Bills. Honestly, the last couple of years, like if they get down early, usually they can find their way back into a game, and you love to see them pull out a victory. But yeah, we're off to the races though. We didn't get any time. We talked about it Sunday night. We get till Monday at like noon, and then we're on to tonight, on to Miami. It's been a quick sprint of this week.
I was joking about it kind of at that point because obviously, in these last like 6 to 8 weeks, I've been dying for Bills football, something meaningful to actually talk about versus speculating over, 8th string receivers and, who's going to be the second set of safeties, things like that. Listen, I respect it, but it's just, my patience wears thin after a little bit. Now we're playing our second game in basically 100 hours. So we're going to have 2 games in 100 hours. And then after tonight, we'll have basically 11 days off between now and Monday Night Football against the Jags. Again, not looking forward to another Florida team. The team we're looking forward to tonight is the Miami Dolphins. And this will be a smelling salt. I mean, if you knew it, I don't think we have to worry about a letdown spot here. I don't think we have to worry about that. This is the perfect team to face, I think, on a quick, short rest early in the season.
I agree. And legitimately, of my lifetime, the biggest week 2 Bills game I think we've ever had, right? Like the stakes in this could not be higher for two teams who are supposed to be competing for this division. And it got even higher specifically after the Jets' performance on Monday night. Like now we're looking at this and it's only one game, everything else, whatever. But the Jets slipping up there and seeing these two teams with a chance to get a division win. Who knows what that division tiebreaker could come down to at the end of the year. I feel like all three of these teams are going to be around the same record and everything else. So the stakes are just immense for a Thursday night week 2 game, but that's what you sign up for. Like if you want to be a contender in the league, you have these games for the Bills and both the Dolphins too. And I don't, as you said, I don't think there's a letdown spot here. I think both teams have plenty of external motivation, bulletin board material to come into this game with, to be motivated to get the win over the other side.
I was ranting about it on Monday. I think both these teams left a little bit of meat on the bone as far as what they can offer offensively, and maybe even defensively. So it'll be interesting to see what they uncork tonight. But I guess getting into it, let's go to this one first. I had a little bit later in the rundown. Are you surprised Vegas being so stubborn with this +2, +1.5, +2.5, despite Josh Allen virtually owning the Miami Dolphins?
Well, it does scare me a little bit, right? It scares me a little bit that Vegas is stuck to that 2.5 because I feel like they're begging the public, and I don't know what the public handle actually is right now, but I feel like that line is begging the public to take the Bills on a short week, take those points and see what happens. So it scares me a little bit. I am surprised that it didn't get over, and it's really not that much. It's 52% on the Dolphins. So
yeah, I just can't look into the numbers too much. You know that no matter what number they come out with, they're not going to move it much. I think if they, brought this out at Bills -2 or Bills -3, I think they'd be getting shellacked on Miami. Yeah, is my thought process. So their goal is to get 50-50. Now, obviously their goal isn't to own 90% of bettors or whatever on that, even though that does happen from time to time. But yeah, I think, from who I've talked to, I think that on this, they're going with the historical data versus the situational data. Now, again, you can go with both, but I think at week 2, a team hosting a division rival, et cetera, I think they're giving them a bump. They're giving them a bump here. So,
well, and
does it worry me? Yeah.
Go ahead.
No. Does it worry me a little bit? But I think back, and I posted this the other day, 9 years ago, it was Rex Ryan's Buffalo Bills in 2015 taking on Tom Brady and the Patriots in week 2. And that was a pick'em. The Bills lost by 20 or lost by 10 or whatever. It was basically a blowout, but it was never really that close. And, sometimes the lines, aren't always, foolproof, I guess I should say. Right.
Yeah, exactly. And we have some, the last couple times these teams have played early in the season in Miami, we have a 35-0 shellacking by the Bills over the Dolphins, and then a 2-point game a couple years ago, obviously the infamous Heat game. So there's reason to believe that, this is going to be, as you said, this is going to be a close game, that 2.5. And yeah, it's how the market's treated the Bills before the season. It's not really a surprise that the Dolphins have remained the favorites throughout the week.
Yeah, and that's a perfect transition for our next topic, which is into the Josh Allen MVP watch. Josh basically cut his odds in half for the most part because he was 9-1, 8, some spots 8-1 or whatever, but now down to 550 on our MVP watch posted on Trainwreck Sports. And my hot take is that I think he has a chance to do that again with this game tonight. I think if he lights it up for 4 touchdowns, 300 plus, and I think he can even throw a turnover in there. Throw a turnover, pick, fumble, whatever you need. If you could put those other two out there, and of course a dub, I think you could easily see him below plus 300 as of Friday morning, Micah.
I agree. I think he could be neck and neck with Patrick Mahomes after this week. What's interesting to me is what the stats are going to board. We saw, at least from week 1, super small sample size, but passing numbers specifically down across the league. Only 2 300-yard passers, one of them in this game, Tua Tagovailoa. So we'll see what those end up. But if he does put up the touchdowns again and he's efficient like he was, I think, again, turnover, I think that he could afford that. If he's efficient like he was has 3+ touchdowns, it's going to be and they get a win here on the road. Because the thing about this too is not only the Josh Allen narrative that would come out of this game, but if the Bills win this game, move to 2-0, beat the Dolphins Thursday night on a short week for a team that, national media really, not all of national media, but I'd say consensus was ready to be like, not going to be the same, either at least a reset year, but also potentially just not on the level of the two other teams in the division. There's going to be a lot of people eating words or spinning around trying to find narratives to come after the Bills tomorrow. And I'm interested to see how that plays out for Allen and the team in general, depending on the result. But I think Allen has a good chance if they get a win and he's clean in this performance to climb up those rankings. Should have taken it last week. I'm kicking myself over that one.
Yeah, but our guy Slick got it in at 9-1 on Press AI, so he's sitting pretty with that value. Yeah, this is, I said it. I hate to keep saying I say it, but I just look for my point of reference what we're talking about. But this is absolutely, this offseason was a trust the process offseason. You really had to have a lot of faith in what the front office was doing. Again, we still haven't even seen necessarily the fruits of, what they went after, but you saw a little bit of it last week. You saw, well, it was good. They placed the faith in Khalil Shakir. It was good. They placed the faith in James Cook. It was good. They placed that faith in Mac Hollins, catching that touchdown over the middle. So they've been rewarded so far, I would say, to speak. And I think, again, if you start throwing in your Curtis Samuels, if Dawson Knox gets, last time they played in Miami, he had a touchdown and it was a big one. So if he gets involved tonight, I think you'll be seeing a lot of people eating crow and a lot of people doing an about face, a 180 on some of their opinions and some of their takes as far as this Bills team. Speaking of which, for this Bills team, we got your Josh Allen, you got your Greg Rousseau at Oliver. I think those are kind of sure things. James Cook is almost a sure thing at this point, right? It's like 80 to 120 yards and a TD or something, basically. Who do you have for your wild card for tonight? Who do you think could be potentially making the difference in South Beach?
The wild card for me tonight is going to be, it's two people, but they have to be talked in tandem. It's the safeties. It's Hamlin and Rapp, because they could either make or break this game for the Buffalo Bills. I don't anticipate a game plan that isn't designed around, I don't know why I'm going double negative here, but McDermott's gonna make sure with all he can to keep everything in front of them. Don't let the top get blown off of them. But how are they in pursuit? How are they on the intermediate routes? Are they late getting there? Are they not? If they made adjustments this week, and like you said, it seems like both teams last week left a lot on the table coming into this matchup, which makes a lot of sense. This is a more important matchup than both teams' week 1 games. And every game in the NFL is important, but when you're talking about division and the stakes that we kind of talked about already, it wouldn't surprise me both teams have wrinkles they want to show at each other. And so I'm interested to see how the Bills attack them defensively. And I think a lot of that onus is going to be on the safeties, who admittedly didn't have a great week last week, but hey, it could have been because the defense was vanilla. Again, they didn't want the top blown off them. It was, Marvin Harrison Jr. is getting doubled. They weren't letting big plays get on the field, and Kyler didn't get to push the ball down the field. So I think there'll be a key to this game plan, and their pursuit on the intermediate routes and keeping everything in front of them could be the difference in this game for the Bills defense.
Yes, you're absolutely right to do it the secondary, because I think the D-line's a sure thing. And I think with the Miami lack of running back, I think that's going to kind of force the issue with the passing game. So with that said, good call in the secondary there. I'll flip over to the other side of the ball. I do want to take Curtis Samuel here, because I think a lot of people would think he's but I'm a confident Curtis Samuel guy. That's not like a wild card to me. The wild card here, I could make it Dawson Knox, as I mentioned, but it's actually going to be Marquez Valdes-Scantling.
Yes.
As crazy as that sounds. Depth. I need depth, because I think that, there's going to be a tension on Keon Coleman. I think there's going to be a tension on, Khalil Shakir. Is Marquez Valdes-Scantling going to be able to make the most of those reps when he gets in the game? He's 10-1 to score an anytime TD. So the books are clearly out on him, but can he show the books that he is still in the game plan for the Bills, that he's still in the playbook? That's a little alarming. 10-1 MVS on a touchdown anytime.
And that the one deep shot he got, he was blowing past that guy, whoever it was on the Cardinals defense, and Josh just had to throw it into that wind. And I don't know if it was the throw itself into the wind or MVS tracking it in the wind, wherever it didn't end up there, but he had the step. So I assume that'll be in the arsenal again tonight. I love that call.
Yeah, I like that. And just looking at it last second here, Dalton Kincaid is plus like 180, 190 to score a touchdown. I mean, I'd probably toss that into something looking at that. I mean,
Let's throw it
a
in
little,
there.
and now again, if they play them like the Cardinals, I don't want to touch it. But if I got to assume that not every team is going to be triple zone covering Dalton Kincaid. Before we get into our predictions, I'll say, let's lock in our Picasso's parlays, a fun segment we obviously got to do last year. Do you want to kick yours off here?
Yes, I would love to. So this is a plus 516 right now. If you put it, at least when I put it in, it was plus 516, so something around there. We've got the Bills money line, easy enough. Keep that in there. Over 23.5 total points. I love putting team totals into these parlays. Curtis Samuel, as you mentioned, I took this from your expertise on our prop picks earlier in the day. I think that Samuel 2 for 15, he can get to 3 for 20 this week. I think that and I think he was battling with that turf toe and they kept him off the field for snaps to bring him back into this game. He's going to be a weapon in this offense. So I love over 18.5 yards where you can get them low. And then Josh Allen 2 passing touchdowns. That's what he does against Miami.
That is what he does against Miami. So you'll see, I'm cut from the same cloth. I'm going a little crazier. I got up to 29-1.
All right.
But yeah, I got Bills W. I got Josh Allen over 219.5 passing yards. I mean, that should be like a floor, but I get it. I get NFL is a little different this year, maybe. Josh Allen over 0.5 passing touchdowns. Josh Allen over 29.5 rushing yards. Curtis Samuel over 17.5 receiving yards. And then this kind of throws me a little bit of some juice. Dawson Knox, anytime touchdown scorer. He's plus 400 for that. So that gets me my juice. That gets me to plus 2,900. I can see again. So you tell me if Josh Allen goes down and throws a touchdown to Dawson Knox on the first drive. I mean, this would be looking pretty juicy as far as I'm concerned. But with that said, when these two teams faced off in Miami last year, Mike, or I should say earlier this year, last season, I don't think that game went as people expected. It was kind of like a sludge game. Josh Allen did put up 400 yards of offense, but turnovers kind of kept that slow. What do you have happen? What do you feel comfortable predicting for tonight in South Beach on Amazon Prime?
I am sticking with the prediction I made earlier this week on the Pay the Bills podcast. I'm in agreement with you that it's going to be, it could be similar to the game at the end of last season. I think that there will be a couple drives and a couple big plays from the Dolphins that will get them a couple scores there, and they'll probably have one good drive that results in the score itself. But I think this Bills defensive line, as you mentioned earlier too, like they're a sure thing. And if the Bills defense is going to be a top 10 unit this year, it's because the defensive line takes over games. And I've been harping all summer that this defensive line has a chance to be the best unit in the Sean McDermott era and one of the best in the league. And I'm going to stick, if I'm going to believe that, I got to stick to my guns. This is a game where they're able to do it. I think it's a big Daquan Jones and Ed Oliver game in the interior. I think that the Jags were really effective being physical on defense, and they were really physical. It was a really physical game last week, and then the Jags just, jags it up, literally fumbled the ball, and then threw that game away in the fourth quarter.
I was tunnel visioned at the game. I could not believe that when I saw that highlight. The game was over. The game was a yard or two from being over.
Yeah, I had that game on all afternoon next to the Bills, and it was baffling to see the result at the end, the way it went. So I'm picking the Bills to win this game. 27-21. That's how I feel. And I think Josh Allen is responsible for all those touchdowns, 3 passing touchdowns on the day. Get a Tyler Bass field goal at the end of the half, maybe a 50-yarder, gets a quell some nerves from the fans. But I think that 21 is a couple big plays and one good drive from the Dolphins. But other than that, the Bills defense and the defensive line specifically keeps them in check.
I like that. I like the pick. Do you think this goes over or under ultimately? I'm sorry, with the pick.
I think that's over under 40. It's right over 1 point.
Okay.
Or no, right under actually 27.
Okay, because I was jumbled there and I know that some people have seen it 48, 47. So I just wanted to make sure. I also see this going under. I know that I said not to read too much into the Vegas line, but this is a very suspiciously low total for these teams on a short week where things are typically more offensive. So I think they're kind of knee-jerk reversing to like what the league is now. I think that Josh Allen is going to move the ball. I think that we might see something that ends up maybe a lack of 4th down conversions, maybe something like that causes us on the point side. Ultimately, the Bills will be leading this game at half. The Dolphins are going to go ahead, and Tyler Bass is going to make a 35 to 50 yard field goal somewhere in that range late in the 4th quarter to ultimately give the Bills a 23-21 victory over the Miami Dolphins. That's how I see it in my crystal ball. With that said, you don't have to get a crystal ball to know to go to Picasso's Pizza, picassospizza.net for the best pizza in Western New York. Let's hope we can get the result all of Western New York wants tonight by going 1-0 over the Dolphins. It's 3 simple words, and that is squish the